the United Arab Emirates says it's on course for a long-term estrangement with Qatar. It comes a day after U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson concluded a three-day diplomatic shuttle between Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Kuwait. Now, Tillerson and his Qatari counterpart signed a deal to counter terror financing, but the Arab nations immediately downplayed its value. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Egypt severed ties with Qatar in early June, accusing it of supporting terror groups, a charge Qatar has said is unfounded. Now, Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan is expected to visit the Gulf soon to discuss efforts to resolve the crisis. Erdogan has been a staunch regional ally in Qatar's dispute with Gulf Arab neighbours. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt did cut ties with Qatar on June 5th over allegations of funding terrorism groups and being allied with their arch foe Iran. Now, Qatar denies the accusations, and of course Erdogan has criticised a list of demands made by the four Arab states to end these sanctions, including a requirement for Turkey's military base in Qatar to be closed. Turkey has also sent 200 cargo planes with supplies to Qatar since its Gulf neighbours cut air and sea links. Qatar's only land border is with Saudi Arabia.
There has been no evidence submitted to prove the accusations against Qatar, even though it has been 40 days since the imposition of sanctions. Qatar maintains its intention to enter a dialogue as long as it is within the framework of mutual respect for each nation's sovereignty and respect for international law.
Our president wants to visit the countries of the Gulf region in the coming period. We are trying to determine the schedule. I think this visit will become more clear next week. All our efforts are focused on a solution in the laws of brotherhood for this problem that we do not want in the region.
The country says it is going ahead with a plan to buy a stake in American Airlines. This, of course, despite the U.S. carrier ending their code-share agreement because of what it called illegal subsidies received from the government. Well, Adel El Maroui now joins us in Doha with more insight into this story. Adel, welcome to the show. Now, of course, we know Qatar has just recently been economically isolated from its neighbours. Why are they pushing to make this deal right now?
Well, Qatar has been pursuing, or Qatar Airways in specific in that case, has been pursuing the regular development program and business expansion or business development as usual. It wants to show of the world and the region in specific that the blockade or the transportation shutdown against Qatar Airways, which has lost its bases and operation in four Arab countries, Egypt, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, has not been affected by these influences, and therefore it is pursuing as usual. As you've mentioned, American Airlines have stopped the code-sharing program with Qatar Airways and Etihad Airways, a UAE-owned Abu Dhabi-based airline as well. As you said, there are accusations of illegal subsidies from their governments, that the government support these airlines. But despite that, Qatar Airways said that they will continue with their target to buy 10% of American Airlines stocks in the market. And basically to do so, they need to get first an approval. They have filed and the purchase request filing has been proceeding as normal. It has been going routinely according to Qatar Airways CEO, and they say that once they get the approval from the US regulator, they will proceed immediately to buy the stocks from the market until they reach the 10% targeted, despite all the complications with the current management they've been facing these days with American Airlines.
Well, many thanks, Adel, for that update. Adel El Maroui joining us there in Doha, Qatar.